Hi, and welcome everyone. This is Lavender Sky Panther. Today is Monday, September 20th, 2021, and today's topic is called Cloud Confetti. It's a collection of images and sky observations happening September 11th through the 19th, 2021. And here's an alternate cover slide. I wasn't sure which one to go with once again, so I'm going to present both. Here's Sky Torches, and it's a friendly hello and nod to friends across the world who use torch as the word for flashlight like we do here. Now, I do have 2 Words, Wisdom, and Spirit of the Day pages coming up today. Feel free to skip ahead if it doesn't interest you and just, jump ahead to sky observations. Otherwise, there's some really good value in these messages today, I feel, and I'd like to share it with you. But before I get into that, I'd like to say good day, osio, how, buongiorno, guten tag, kia ora, jambo, kedu, buenos dias, bonjour, ni hao, dzień dobry, konnichiwa, dobrohonya, annyeonghaseyo, Botarji, Dobry Den, Aloha Winala, Galimera, Hurinda, and good day. And apologies in advance, I'm going to have to speed through this show because I've already tried recording it a couple of times and now I'm running out of time. So hopefully this one sticks. I just want to say that I did pick a couple of cards for this specific show in mind and just asked whatever messages, would be great to come through for everybody who finds this channel. Let them come through. So I picked one from the Daily Crystal Inspiration deck and the Mystical Shaman or Shaman Oracle card deck. So for the crystal, I got Chrysocolla, which the message is start fresh. It comes from the Greek chrysos, meaning gold, and colla, meaning glue, referring to it as a use as a flux and soldering gold. It also is a hydrated copper silicate. It's a healing stone for strengthening the body's resistance and for calming upset feelings. It has a host of other wonderful properties. I invite you to look around on the internet and find some of those. There's so much to this stone. So this is on the card itself. It just shows a tumbled or polished version of Chrysocolla. Down here, this bit is my, just from my own personal gem collection. It's a raw, natural Chrysocolla stone. Okay, now, the Smoky Mirror comes with number 47. I invite you to take a look at sites such as Joanne Sacred Scribes Angel Numbers for possible meanings, some good positive meanings behind it. And when we look at the Smoky Mirror card itself, I'm not going to go over the symbolism and get into it into detail because I want to jump to just the meaning straight from the little companion book to these cards because they have a good meaning in here, a good description. So all I want to note on the actual imagery of the card is just the golden quality, so that how it's very liquid here. We look in the pool and it just reminds me of that chrysos, meaning gold, and the glue part of it, the cola part where it can be very fluid. It can be the glue, it can be very fluid, or it can be more solid. But either way, it comes to the human beings, the gold is just our spark or light within, our very essence, or our state of rediscovering ourselves or enlightenment. Now, when I look at the Smoky Mirror definition, or at least description, rather, from the Mystical Shaman Oracle card deck, it says this: the essence. The Smoky Mirror represents the aspects of what is implied yet cannot be immediately known in the world, the mystery of how things come together and how they fall apart without obvious casuality. The symbol also represents the shadow of the human psyche, the parts of the self that one disowns. The Smoky Mirror can also represent a state of denial or the inability or refusal to see the truth. Now, the invitation is this: when the symbol of the Smoky Mirror appears, you're invited to see beyond your own self. Acknowledge that, past the limits of your current ability to perceive, there is a vast interconnected world where events are orchestrated in divine order, but challenging to fully grasp. Now is the time to trust that no matter what the current conditions of your world reflect, in the hidden realms all aspects of the human journey are celebrated, the beauty and the darkness, the misery and the courage. No matter where you are on your journey, know that some things are meant to be a mystery, which you are meant to understand only through experience. Take heart, for the Smoky Mirror will ultimately show you beauty and wonder once the fog lifts the distortion you see now. So the medicine, if you're kind of out of balance with this, is understanding the shadow of the human journey requires that you go deep into your story to discover the wound that prevents you from seeing the truth of your current situation. Your fears and expectations of disappointment and unworthiness may be clouding your capacity to see the potential in yourself and others. The Smoky Mirror may be showing you things you don't want as a result of your conditioning. These can become even more real, but only because you are making it so. The choice is yours. The world will hold you accountable for what you see and create. Can you see through the eyes of truth and faith instead? Oh, this is so important. Hold on one second. So this message stands on its own, so I do invite you to ponder it on your own time, really let it sink in, maybe reread it on your own or, re-listen to it. But I just want to emphasize at the end of this as a little end note, everything really, when we create things, it's our beliefs, it's how we see things. That's all our choice of how we create it. So it really does matter if we look at the universe as being a loving universe or as a hostile universe. So do you believe things are going to be happening for you or against you or to you? So as I've said in another show, I always go by it's happening for me, not to me. When I look at the effects of the outer world and it seems not to be going my way or very adverse, even in the heat of a moment, something going seemingly very south or bad, I say, nope, it's happening for me, not to me. And just by that acknowledgement and my belief in that and absolute conviction and commitment to that, everything flips over for the better. So things can be going really bad, and all of a sudden I say that, it's happening for me, not to me. Everything flips right around. And I get like a ton of people showing up to offer to help if I was seemingly stranded, or just some crazy divine miraculous things start to happen. So that's all I'm going to say is, create with a positive outlook and in mind, even if it's hard to get there to that place. If you get out of bed and stub your foot and go, oh, it's going to be a crappy day, well, you're going to have a crappy day. If you get out of bed and stub your foot and go, nope, it's happening for me, not to me, it's okay. Thank God I can even stub my foot. I have a foot to stub. You got to look at things that way, and then that's how your day will go in a more positive trajectory. Anyway, let's move on. So now I'd like to just say this is for anybody who is just going through an awakening for the first time, or if you've been on the journey for a while. I've been on it for over a decade now. You're either going to have this really brutal cracking open moment where you lose a job, or you lose a partner, or you lose a family member, a dog, whatever seems to be leaving your life suddenly and unexpectedly. You could have all of that happen to you at the same time, as I kind of had a version of that. And so it's just to really get your attention. The universe is saying, wake up. Really look at what's going on in the world. Take your blinders off. Start to see things in a new way. And so if this is happening to you, I just want to give you a few resources. And again, I've been on this journey for about 10 years now, and I still found some of these resources so helpful in the last year or two, and even recently. So I want to refer you, first of all, to go look at this excellent show done by Naughty Beaver on YouTube. Here's the little icon, I put it there, his little logo. It's called Walking Between Worlds, My Journey. And I want to read just his little description on the show and touch on it a little bit more. So he says, are you experiencing ringing in the ears, heart palpitations for no reason, migraines, shifting in and out of dream state, constant fatigue, depression, unusual dreams, seeing black spots in your vision, and unusual irritation? Very likely all of the above, to be precise. If so, consider yourself lucky. It may not seem that way at first, but this video will shed some great light on the reasons why it's happening. In this video, I discuss the physical and spiritual transformation that I have been undergoing for several years now. It was difficult to explain it up until I came across a DNA awakening video just released that allowed me to explain everything happening and correlate all of it with my own personal journey. Spiritual awakening, not in the religious sense, is something that can only be experienced, not taught. It is, however, an experience that I want to share with others in the hopes that it may help with their own journey. We all have to walk our own path in this world. It's just nice to know you aren't alone. 1111, that's a little wink for people that are going through the awakening. Hope this helps. This video is off topic from most of my usual doom and gloom and may not be relevant at this time to some people. Knowledge is power. You never know when your turn may come. And that's all by Naughty Beaver. Now, he has a couple of links if you want to support his channel. Now, in this case, I think he really covers it comprehensively from beginning to end, exactly of what's going on with an awakening and what you might encounter. I just want to add to that too, your change in diet, like involuntary change in diet. Your body starts dictating to you what it does and does not want to eat is also a big part of this when you start going into this awakening phase. Now, I also want to refer to you to Dolores Cannon's work, The Three Waves of Volunteers in the New Earth, and also as you start awakening, you might start to remember suppressed things, suppressed memories, and they may even involve ET, the whole realm of ETs, extraterrestrials, and you may start to have memories and recall of ET experiences that you don't know if they're dream state or real. This is all a part of it. So that, I invite you to look at The Custodians by Dolores Cannon if you feel that's starting to happen with you. Also, excellent, another excellent show to catch is Allison Coe on YouTube. It's called Before, During, and After the Event, QHHT Client Sessions. The QHHT stands for Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique, and that's a technique that Dolores Cannon used with her clients, and this is where all of this work is based on. Clients that she had coming to her that had issues, they wanted healing, and then it turned out they went into not just past lives, but also parallel lives, ET lives, all kinds of stuff. Hang on one second. Okay, anyway, in this particular thing by this show by Allison Coe, this talks about what it could actually mean as far as, what the Bible talks about and all these other prophecies talk about, like some big event happening or, revelations and what could be on the horizon. And what I want to say is it's not an end of times, no way. It's just a shift in times or a change in times and for the better. And so I highly recommend you look at this video for that. All right, that's enough said for now, and let's get into the sky observations, part of the show. Now, whether you're new or returning to this channel, thank you so much for being here, and a heartfelt thanks go out to you. If you're new, I'm not going to do my normal intro because I spent a little more time on the previous slides than I liked. So do look at some of my previous shows if you want a little more background of what I'm doing here and why. Otherwise, I'm just going to go forward now as if you're already in the flow and know what's going on. So here we go. I just started looking to the west toward sunset, and here we've got a beautiful backlight situation to help highlight some of these things that I suspect is being cloak and craft. At C.1, you get this, pure shape, straight line down here, symmetrical things happening in the back, like little tails on this thing. We have looks like tufted plasma or the cloaking material. I just use plasma as my go-to. It even has like a little bit of a shine to it, and reflective part. So I don't know, that could be actually a machine part on this thing or just the plasma. But whatever the case, it's just illustrating that there's a denser object here than here. And this thing is going on an angle, and it's in such a pure form compared to anything else going around that I've got to say that's cloak and craft. Now we've got a weird form here too with this artificial light source. I'm calling that, yes, a solar simulator. That's not the true sun. Look at my other shows for why I'm saying that. This is pure white, pure white, and it had one size at one moment, a different size the next, and it's not the natural sun. Anyway, here's a straight line here, straight line here, straight line here. We've got a pure triangular form happening right there. We've got this weird fuzzy form happening, which we'll look at in a different image later. We've got a more golden light source, pure light source happening down here. And we have another bright whiting, a separate white, whiter looking light source happening up here. So this is riddled with some enigmas, some, I don't know what's going on. See what you think is happening there. Now this scene, looking east, I took because it seemed to be a much darker, object happening behind here. We even see like a cracking open and whatever's like trying to hide it. And, it looks like a sword shape or something. So anyway, here's with some enhancement. We have a bigger elliptical form. Looks like it's diving down. And it looks like it has this like cracking open cloaking material in front of it. And then look at this whole shape. Looks like it emerged out of this. It looks like that's either another object, like a sky imprint of it, or that's a hole and it just like came out of a portal with like a trail of vapor coming behind it. It looks like to me, and like it's heading downward. Then we have a pure form here of a triangle here in the background. You see with that bright blue color, there's a straight line there. So that's definitely, both these objects are artificial, no question. This looks like artificial too, because look at this straight line and angle. This looks like an overall triangular shape. So yeah, there's enough in here to say we've got artificial tech. I don't care what anyone wants to say. That is definitely artificial tech going on in there. Now I still think it's ET, of advanced ET tech. just by the size and the intricacy of how this stuff cloaks and enters in and out. That's what I'm going to say. So see what you think, though. Oh, and look here too. Look how we've got pure angles here as well. Just, it's wild, whatever's going on in here. Okay, then we're going to look at this. We've got enough oddities happening in this scene as well, especially at A. So let's take a look with some enhancement. Here we go. We have a dart or arrowhead shape here. God knows what's going on in here. We have this weird fragment with a straight edge on it. So again, is this stuff, necessarily craft? It could also just be tech. It could be a sensor. It could be instrumentation of some type. But whatever it is, it's not natural happening in our clouds. Here too, we've got like a, straight angle here, like the top of a triangle. It's coming down an angle this way, while this is coming this way. This is floating up on its own. That's not a natural cloud system. Then we're going to look to the south, and I could tell a little bit to the naked eye that we had a little bit of a warm color signature happening here. Looking to the right, what really caught my attention in the overall scene, though, was letter A. We have this weird shape diving down. It's like fish diving down or something. We have, these striations. They're perfect parallel lines. So that's smart, what do I want to say? That's intelligent design. And then we have this red-pink glow back in here. So that, I invite you to look at the description box below of what could be causing that color signature. Okay, then we're going to jump back to the west, again, a little flashlight or torch situation, and then other light sources happening beyond, and other weird things popping up that are backlit. We get this little smudge out, looks like an object sitting on the top of the deck of a bigger craft here. We're going to start to see more stuff around the perimeter here. I'll talk about in the next slide. But look at the color signatures. Look how weird that is. If this is the sun, which it's not, it's artificial tech, then how come we have all of this other brighter signature happening? What's this little fuzz out at B.1? Why do we have a different golden glow source down here? There are a lot of questions that we really should already have answers to that are being denied to us from other mainstream sources that do know what's going on. Anyway, here we're going to look at the scene a little bit more. We look to the right. Look at this. We've got these pointed ellipses, totally splayed at different angles. This is coming at a different angle. That's going at a totally different angle. And then what's this thing? This bigger thing looming beyond with this thing above. And then we've got what's supposed to be the sun. Is that little torch or that flashlight right there. It's got that hot spot, that white-blue color signature, but then we've got, I'm trying to get my cursor. But then we've got that a different color of white, a little more warm tone right above, and something else happening down here once again. This whole scene is riddled with big question marks. I'm going to say a ton of cloaking craft is going on there, though. Then we look to the east, and look at this. We have this form going out on this angle, while this is going straight up. Typical clouds, regular clouds don't do that. We got a straight line here, too, this thing is coming out of. And these peaks, very precise. Look at these straight angles. Very strange. Then we're going to look at more strangeness with A. This has like crystalline structures to it. These are weird little flattened, triangular shapes. So we're going to look at it with enhancement. And there's a lot going on in here, but I'm just going to touch on 8.1. This looks like pure forms sticking out like sticks, 1, 2, 3. And then something happening down at this end and something obscuring it in the middle. So like either cloaking material or something else jumping in front of this whole thing. I'm going to call that cloaking craft. That's not natural cloud. Then we're going to go to this scene looking south, and I noticed these weird tracings. I've covered these in other shows. They don't really make sense. This doesn't make sense either, so I think that's a bigger cloaking object. Anyway, when we look to the right and we see that color signature, once again, this red-pink, it's got a hot spot, though, in the middle of white. And again, what are these weird tracings? So I gotta say that's like some type of craft that's phasing in and out of state, or it's interdimensional, very kind of ghost or phantom-like. See what you think? Okay, then this is one of my favorites. Look at this pure triangular shape at A, okay? Here we go. We're looking at it with a slightly different enhancement, and yet again. But look at that. That is a pure triangular form. So I rest my case. This is a cloaking craft. You don't have just a triangular form and a natural cloud system. Anyhow, I know I keep saying that, but it's true. And look how straight this line is. There's just a lot going on in here. I can't get it too much more, but I think 8.2 is enough. See what you think. All right, now gets interesting looking east at sunrise. As I've mentioned before in other shows, we get artificial cloud moving in to obscure our ability to see the sun rising. And so that is because we've got our original golden sun happening in the background, and we've got this artificial solar simulator, artificial sun tech, bright white and glaring, and gets bigger and brighter and totally wipes out any evidence of our golden glow sun beyond. That on top of, this artificial crap, I'm sorry, that's what I'm going to call it, showing up to obscure our view of this transition with the sunrise. Now, here we already start to see a perfect triangular form with enhancement. Hang on one second. Okay, I'm back. This is what we see with enhancement. This pure form, C.1, other weird forms, standalone forms happening beyond. But again, they come right in front to obscure our ability to see the sunrise. All right, we're going to look back to the west, and we've got some backlight situation happening here. And look at some of these strange tracings. Look at these are parallel lines curved. Looks like ribs. Weird stuff happening up in here. We look with enhancement. This is what we see. I'm going to kind of park it right here and leave it for you to look at on your, look at this more on your own time. But I'll just call out that D.1, we got a pure form here that looks like a craft. B.1, I'm not sure what this is doing, but that's not natural cloud. And then, we've got other weird activity happening in here. But see what you can find in this overall scene. Bizarre scene. Now we're going to pan over. Here we have that object we were looking at before, like those ribs, just showing a little bit more of this overall part. And then here we get to this. At D.1, we get weird texture happening back in here. This overall thing has got to be some type of cloak and craft coming in an angle, or multiple craft, hiding in this overall cloaking technique. And look at this thing again. This is like a standalone object sitting here. Look at these perfect curves, parallel to each other. Looks like the carcass of a fish. I don't know what to say. See what you think is going on. Also, look at the color signatures. We've got golden glow down here, bright white burst here. Just the whole scene is strange. All right, then this is the panorama view of it, looking to the west, and here's that like fish carcass thing at B. Weird stuff happening here. A looks like a perfect triangular form as well. So again, I'm going to say cloak and craft happening all over the place in that scene. Here we're going to zoom in. Now this element has like a tail, like the end of an airplane at sea. We're going to look at this whole thing with some enhancement. Look at this very specific texture happening here. So I'm going to say this overall thing is a cloak and craft, and just being obscured, and it's kind of like phantom-like. Look how perfect these lines are. That's a pure form, so that's got to be a cloak and craft there as well. Okay, now we're going to look at that pure form again. As things have dissipated now, some of this cloak and stuff, it's like fading. And we're going to look at this with enhancement. It's going to be a little fuzzy because the photo wasn't crisp, but look, you get the idea. We still have a solid form. We have a straight line this way. We have a lot of different movement all over the place. So I'm going to say cloak and craft is at work. Now this gets interesting. In the morning, looking to the east, we have this overall pattern. I used to think this was like harp technology, or unfortunately humankind has its mitts on some technology it shouldn't have because it's using it for devious and non-good purposes with weather manipulation and malintended control, let's just say, with satellite technology and with things like HARP. But in this case, I think it's local craft sitting above here, creating these waves as a means of kind of cloaking mechanism. That's kind of my latest conclusions. And I say that because when we look at with enhancement, I see a red-pink signature just right above here in a darker area. So I do think it's just craft sitting up there. And I'm not sure if it's generating these waves intentionally as cloak, or if it's just a byproduct of the craft sitting up there and it's emanating, either electromagnetic wave activity, or I don't know, other kind of frequency waves could be coming out of that thing. Anyway, that's what I think is happening. All right, now we've got that weird patterning happening beyond, and then on top of it we have these weird artificial clouds popping up in front again, obscuring our ability to see the sunset come up, pure and clean. And again, it's to hide the fact that there's solar tech interfering with our ability to see the natural sun. Because look at this. This is a triangular form, And then we have this arm coming out and up vertical. I mean, come on. It's like somebody waving. Hello. That doesn't happen with a natural cloud system. It just doesn't. You can't have this formation. And then we have this darker imprint back here of a triangular form. So it's actually comical at this point. Maybe it is waving to say hello, like, hi, we're getting your attention. Because this is just so bizarre. So I'll wave hi back, you know, and just like, okay, guys, next time move away so we can see the sunrise. All right, so now this is, again, what I'm calling artificial cloud, because now this thing is springing up, you know, like leaving, and has a trajectory going behind it from this piece to this piece. And that just doesn't lift off on its own in a very low, you know, we're talking, this is so low in the atmosphere, really low overhead. And it just, that in itself is not natural cloud activity to be so darn low. But now that this thing is like detaching and moving up, it's just strange. So within that, we see at 8.1 a triangular form. So again, I gotta say that is cloak and craft of some type. All right, now we're gonna look at a rainbow, which, hang on. Okay, I'm back. I haven't really seen many rainbows lately, but now in the last couple of weeks, I have seen a few, and they pop up at weird conditions. So yes, it was cloudy, but it really didn't seem to be enough so that there would be a rainbow, but yet there was. And look at the different color signature we have below than above. So I thought, let's take a look at that with enhancement. We get some interesting things popping up. So we get some reddish signature happening down in here. We have an object that looks like it's being cloaked beyond, you know, looks like a triangular form with some weird arm coming down this way. The rainbow itself did not feel, I know it's going to sound funny, but it just didn't feel authentic. I don't know. It didn't feel genuine. It was also a double on top of it, which I've never seen growing up, and now all of a sudden we're just seeing tons of doubled rainbows everywhere across the world now and then. So anyway, in this case, it just felt artificial. So I have a suspicion that there's craft behind here, maybe throwing out a projection of this thing as a type of cloak or distraction from what's going on beyond. Because here too, looks very interesting, what's starting to develop beyond here as maybe being some type of cloak and craft. Now we're going to look to the side, one side of this to the south, and you start to see the second rainbow there. Oh, I'm going to go back. And again, it just was really weird because on one side of the rainbow, it had a total warm signature, and on the other side, it was all cool. It was just really strange. Okay, now, speaking of strange, this is looking to the south, and this whole thing was just kind of floating across this overall formation. And the overall sky is very choppy. And again, I call that staccato cloud or staccato effect, where to the naked eye, everything is choppy and fuzzy. Just really weird. And so I attribute that to there being a cloak and craft above that's local. And again, it's either sending out electromagnetic wave activity or just by virtue of whatever it is, it disturbs the atmosphere. I don't know whether it's intentional or not. I think it is intentional though. But I'm just going to say that's what's going on here because it was just such a weird overall shape. And when we look at it with enhancement, once again, we get these triangular forms, pure triangular forms. This even looks like a capsule, like that could be a standalone craft. Anyhow, you know, see what you think, but at B.1 we got another triangular form, pure form. So I'm going to say there's too much in here that's of rigid geometry to say that that's not some type of intelligent design or advanced craft and cloaking technique to boot. Here's like the end of that thing that we were just looking at, and then we get another whole system abutting it, and it's all choppy, and again, no natural cloud movement would produce these two separate forms right next to each other. And then here we go with some enhancement. That's a triangular form, looks symmetrical with like these fins on the sides with a point here. And this is a peak, you know, a point, and it's even got some backlighting here of its own generated here. So I'm going to say once again, cloak and craft. Also look at the energy bursts, color signatures. We've got red over here where it's really not anywhere else. Also bizarre. Then this is in a different part of town looking to the west, southwest, and we see just this weird overall formation. To me looks like overall cloaking material of something. But even beyond that, we hit a white, blue hot spot here and then warmer signatures beyond. So we're going to look at that with an enhancement. Here we go. So here you just see this really artificial looking glaring source here and warmer light happening beyond. Really strange stuff happening in the sky as well. But I'll leave this one to you to look at on your more on your own time if you have it. See what you see is going on in that scene. Okay, now we're going to get to this really odd situation. This was looking south while I was driving. I mostly waited till I stopped at lights to take pictures. But anyway, we're looking south. What caught my attention was this while I was driving. It's just this weird shape going kind of vertical, a little bit on a slant on its own, while this was going horizontal, this stuff. Just really caught my attention and how it's abutted in an awkward way to all of this. So looking at it with enhancement on the right-hand side, I couldn't get to too much more. But what happens next is pretty startling. Now here we get a little glimpse of red-pink color. This is starting to look like a spherical shape that's being cloaked. See what you think is going on there. And again, this is just getting really weird. So we've got a straight line here that looks like this is an overall triangle imprint here, and another one here, and then we have the edge of a triangle here. If you look, looks like another one happening here. So what gets weird though is watch B, bam, B2 and B3. It starts disintegrating. So from 1 minute to the next, bam, it was there, and now it's not. And then I've noticed this happening a lot lately. It's really strange. So the cloud isn't just moving along, it just disintegrates. So I'm going to say that was a craft. And then up here, look, we've got an imprint of a triangular form. So to me, that's enough to say, yes, there's something going on, or in a relationship between these two things. See what you think, though? Then we've got, looking to the west, just this overall system started developing. It started feeling really weird. So down here, we had like a ethereal glow of this like white light. Seemed very otherworldly, and it was not a part of the sunset light, and those lights started appearing here too. Hang on 1 second. Okay, then here we have more evidence of that. So like 8.1, we get a little bit of a hot spot of a whiter light over here too. So I started to see some lights appearing and started to see a little bit of a pattern emerging. And I thought, I'll be darned, we're getting one bigger craft is starting to show up here. Now, in the distance here, you see this is the effect of the quote-unquote sunset going down, which is a more golden light, a little bit of a red to it. This is starting to look light, white and ethereal looking. So that's important to note. So as we go forward, we're just going to spend time on the upper one. Lower one is the original. The upper one is the panorama looking west. So here I started to see this overall form emerging. And look at this has structure. Look at like these things, look like lights, like 1, 2, 3, 4 starting to emerge. And this weird kind of netting or, kind of, what do I want to say? It almost has like a ladder, a sideways turned ladder effect. With these like openings, really strange. Then here we are going to look at the overall scene again. This just felt like it was an object. And again, we have structural pattern in here. This has symmetry and patterning where these openings are and how we're going to look and see the light signatures. Look at this. So again, you can see like an opening. This opens up. And then we've got a reddish pink signature once again. And we've got a clear line here delineating that this is an overall object. And that's what I'm going to say, that was an overall craft. Because down here, again, look, we've got the glow of what's supposed to be the sunset is totally different down there than what's happening up here. Okay, now this is looking to the east above, and this whole thing is looking straight up. Was so artificial looking. So the fringe of this, look at the perimeter, the profile of this thing, totally artificial looking, the way it was spreading out and puddling out toward the east. And then look at this weird stuff. So anyway, with enhancement on the right, you can just see this all looks artificial. That's not a typical cloud formation. And then looking to the south, this thing was spreading out above that we were just looking at. That's the fringe of it looking to the south, and we were looking over here to the left to the east. But anyway, look at this. So hang on 1 second. Sorry, I'm having voice issues this morning. Anyway, looking to the south, this started developing. Looked like its own animal with this artificial puddle thing spreading above. And then look at A. We have like a darker shadow happening within this whole thing. So there was a lot of strange happening here. And especially looking at the perimeter of this thing, it was all very artificial looking. So with enhancement, we see that red-pink color signature in there once again. Coupled with our dark shadow, weird stuff happening on the perimeter. We're going to zoom in on that perimeter. Look at this. There's so much going on in here. So if we look on the right-hand side, 8.1, we got weird things that's coming across horizontal that's going on an angle that looks very much like cloak and craft. Something happening here too. little weird bits happening at C. B.1 is doing its own thing with a little trail behind it. And then D.1 gets very mysterious. We're going to keep looking at this. We're going to lighten this up at D.2. What is going on here? This is all in the same proximity, but we have very different, shapes and forms going on. So I'm going to just say, this is an artificial overall cloud with weird little, instrumentation and little craft popping off out of here. We're going to zoom in a little bit more, and I'm going to focus on this A element. Look at this. Oh, it's like a swirling effect now with some little object poised in there. So I'm going to say that's cloak and craft. And then this was just a weird thing looking west. Look at this development coming out of here, this cloud profile. We're going to look to the right-hand side. Look at this with enhancement. That's a triangle on angle. No way around it. Looks like it's, like coming in on some other, with some other plasma or cloaking material and wafting in front of it. I don't know what this is, but this is not, natural cloud. And then we had some weird texture looking to the east-southeast in the afternoon. It had like a ripple effect, like looking at the surface of reflected water even, all, through here. And again, this is the top of that artificial cloud effect. Really strange. And then here we go, just looking at some of the weird textures here. Can't call that natural cloud though. You see what you think is going on in there. All right, well, this is the photo of the day and the close of the show. It's a great white egret just strolling through a neighborhood yard, really beautiful and elegant. So I want to say thank you for looking into things here a while with me. It is the beginning and the kickoff of the week where I am. If it is for you too, I hope you're having a great start to the week. But more importantly, I hope you're having a gorgeous now, and I wish you tremendous peace and love. Lavender Sky Panther, bye.